Hello everybody and welcome to Chaotic Neutral Games. I'm Simon Cantor, your host and DEM, and this is the Benefactor, our D&D 5th edition stream. I'm here with Felicia, not Rodrigo, unfortunately, he's off ill, Corinne, Nick and Kate. Hello guys.
Hello!
Hello.
The 1 week we don't have somebody here is another one of your smooth weeks.
Oh yeah, well just wait, I'm sure that something will come up, but hopefully not any technical difficulties, because it may not look it, but I have a new rig. Everything's been set up. Thanks very much, Paul, who's out there. He's one of our guild D&D players who's helped me with a bit of extra hardware, and I've moved a load of different things about, so hopefully we shouldn't have the problems that we had before. However, due to the technical difficulties of last game, we're going to dial this back to the point where you guys entered the Green Mansion. Okay, so in the stream, as far as I was aware, we managed to get up to Renata herself. I'm going to dial that back to you coming in through the front doors of the building. Okay? So, you step into the Green Manor, and the place is the usual hive of activity. Standing in the big foyer is a figure that you're very familiar with, Olivia Storm. She turns round, wrinkles her brow in a mixture of, I guess, surprise, relief, but also a little bit of, I don't know, that kind of edgy, maybe slightly angry intensity that she has to her look from time to time. And she walks straight up to Aiden and says, "Tell me everything," grabs him by the arm, not unkindly, and pulls him off to one side. Okay? So we're going to use that as the reason why Aiden isn't here. And when Rodrigo comes back, hopefully next week, we will have that scene between him and Olivia.
All of us control ourselves from going like small children, because we're professional.
One of the other servants comes in and says, "Oh, Ms. Green would want to speak to you straight away, I'm sure. Please, follow me." You go up the sweeping curved staircase that goes up one side of this large foyer to the first floor, where you know that Renata's study, her libraries, and other form of arcane studies, and the waiting room was also where you had your first session. You don't hit the waiting room this time. It's straight through. The double doors are opened, straight into the study, and at her desk, furiously writing in her book, is Renata. She looks up and goes, "So, the hunt, 2 weeks? You didn't report in 2 weeks. I know you went out of range of the badges, but anyway."
We already told her that we already told her over.
No, he's jumped back. Remember?
Yeah, we've not told her anything. No,
we told her beforehand. I told her beforehand.
You told her over the badges.
Through
quite
the...
right. Quite right. It's been
through the badges.
It's been a week, and retcons are never easy anyway. Sorry. In that case, she says, "Tell me everything."
Well, last thing I remember is going to bed after we got these sweet new armors from Sir Lordface.
From Tristane.
I can't remember.
Tristane?
Tristane, yes. I can't remember that name because I'm terrible. From Lord Tristane.
Very well. The night that you had supper with Tristane.
Yes.
Let's take a look at you. She steps up and walks up to Glory and brings her hands up to your face as if to ask permission to place hands upon your head.
Mm-hmm.
She places her hands either side of your head and says, "Okay, so not an amplified version of the modify memory spell. That would have left more of a residue. This..."
Can I feel her like poking around?
You can feel a consciousness on the edge of yours. You've been targeted a few times, Glory, by the detect thoughts spell. You have a feeling she's using that, but she's more skilled at it than most. From everything that you've seen, she is a divination wizard after all.
Yeah.
Very well. If not the modify memory spell, or even an enhanced or altered version of that spell, then what else? There are certain creatures that can take memories, alter the mind, some with psionic abilities. Also, rare humanoids that are able to do so as well. After that, there are obviously rituals, and then, of course, anything divine. It's not so much of finding out what possible causes there are, it's finding out which one. I'm a little disturbed. Do you remember why I sent you off on the hunt in the first place?
No, we don't remember anything.
Nope.
Okay, I sent you after a...
Oh, no, I got it.
I sent you after an
That's good.
alchemist. You okay?
Yes, all I was going to say, Eclipse, was going to say, all I know is I got this really sweet knife. But not really, no.
I really, really do think that was a bad idea to give you that.
Renata does give herself
It's very cool.
a moment of laughter where she says, well, at least they didn't take your personalities. The lash knife, yes, that was a passing weapons master, a moment of opportunity that we jumped on, and that was part of some mind magic that you did agree to, Eclipse. That was the only way to get the training in your head in time, was to allow you to have some of his memory, some of his muscle memory loaded down into your brain. But yes, so we know where the lash knife comes from, and Glory, you feverishly built that device on your hand. I didn't even know you were an enchantress. She doesn't mention anything about Cora's new items, being that the ring is just a ring, the cloak is just a cloak. And Farewell, have you manifested your knife at the moment?
Nope.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So she has nothing else to comment on then. And she says, very well. Please, take a seat. Margaret, can we please have some tea? So that the small gnomish woman goes off and gets some tea. And she says, well, let's rebuild of the events what I can. First of all, we were hunting down any potential rogue arcanists within the city. The first that you went after was one for Tristane himself. He sent you to a location that we were able to find, and you turned up there, and it turns out that the man himself had met with a rather sticky end. We don't know whether it was a random summoning, but the claw marks on his body suggested that he died by some form of foul means. And being that there's no creature that can get into a locked room and cause those kinds of wounds, we assume that some of his casting had gone awry, and he was taken out by some sort of construct or something along those lines. Arcanism, unfortunately, isn't exactly the safest of pursuits. You managed to find a box that was in his possession, and also a fishing rod. I don't know what that was all about, but it seemed to make sense to you. And we started looking into the location. I sent some of my own arcanists there to see if we could find out what magic he was doing. It turns out he was trying to rush enchantment, and in doing so tore the veil and made a creature appear. We don't know what creature, but clearly it had teeth and claws by the state of his body. It was quite the bloody mess. But we've buried him within the university burial grounds. They were willing to accept him back. Also, arcanists that die in that fashion can sometimes go through some form of mutagenesis, an arcane transformation, or they can become undead. So the university is the best place where they can watch that. But that took you a day once we pointed out where he was, and you weren't surprised when we pointed out where he was. That was very interesting. I didn't ask for an explanation at the time, but yes, you went there, and then after that, we sent you after a second arcanist, Merrick Briarstone.
Can I roll that back a sec, Renata?
Of course.
This is going to sound like a strange question, but were you there when we questioned him, the dead arcanist?
No,
Because, damn, because I would have really liked to have remembered as whether or not I used Speak with the Dead.
You did. Olivia was there.
Oh!
Oh, right.
Okay, because unfortunately somebody cut everything about this out of my book, and maybe she might remember what we asked and what he told us.
I'm sure she would, and you do notice that when you said that they raised pictures out of they took it out of your book, there's this look of absolute hatred from Renata. It's like, they did what? And you can...
there'd be a total of like, yeah, I know. I mean, it's total bullshit, man. It's total.
They touched my book.
You can see the ornate spell book that she has, and considering in every scene it's been right next to her hand, as if she doesn't want to be separated from it. This is something that's very, very precious to her. So there's a bit of a flinch from her when you mentioned that. So the second arcanist that you were on pursuit of, and obviously our prime suspect in this is a halfling called Merrick Briarstone. When we started looking into this, there was a reaction from Merrick. He immediately packed up his things and started to flee. We tracked him on a mail coach going out of the city. We also tracked on him a strange arcane signature. Not a particular item. We were able to identify from the identification spell from afar, and we couldn't find anything specific about it. We did divine the magic that was around him, and it turned out to be necromancy. Necromancy both from him and also from a small pouch that was in his luggage. The small pouch just seemed to be the size of a gold purse, and yet it was almost entirely necromantic in origin.
No, that's not good.
Well,
Fascinating.
Necromancy isn't necessarily evil. It gets a bad reputation. It's...
No, I just meant that wasn't a good thing rather than evil or
in that
nice
intensity,
thing.
I agree. Ordinarily,
it's just that's not very.
No, and ordinarily something that has such a heavy necromantic signature can only mean one of two things. It can either be something that is designed to perform a necromantic spell, and it could just be it could be a rod of resurrection. Who knows? Or, well, not if it's a small pouch, but a rod of resurrection, gives off a lot of necromantic energy. I've seen one or two in my lifetime, and it's nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a perfectly innocent application of the magical school. However, the other thing that could give a signal that big is something that's magically powered by the death of others. So,
at least it's not a phylactery.
No, a phylactery would have had more. It would have had.
It would have been another feel if nothing else.
We would have seen conjuration, abjuration, enchantment, all in the same place. A phylactery is, it comes up as quite the firework when you look at it through arcane eyes.
Yeah, I'm just glad we can cross Lich off the list.
Indeed. So I guess the first thing that I would want to do is hunt down Merrick, unless, of course, you found Merrick yourself and either exonerated him or defeated him in some manner, and it was actually the next step of your inquiry that, well, befell whatever befell you.
I suppose that would be the easiest way to retrace our steps.
My worry is that we've been subjected to some very, very powerful magic.
And that's not even a question.
And whoever did this magic to us, like, they're still out there, and they probably want to prevent us finding out whatever we found out again.
Powerful magic or a profound supernatural effect. The Illithid, for example, would be able to perform an effect similar to this, unless we're able to somehow divine that that a spell had been performed upon you. Don't lose any of your options. Keep an open mind.
I really hope we didn't go to the Underdark. I would really not want to go down there.
In 2 weeks, who knows where you went?
Too big of a chance to run into Cousin Excellence.
Oh yeah, your cousin is there.
Yes.
I worry about your family.
Would your cousin do this? Is he this powerful?
Do you need me to answer, Glory?
Can I?
You can answer yourself if you wish, yeah.
What did you ask? Because I only caught half the statement.
If your cousin would have been powerful enough to do this to us, for example, if you ran into it and he just decided to erase 3 weeks of our memory for fun.
Well, that'd be grounds for execution, I'd say.
Also, Glory, you know that excellence, unless this is part of some sort of plan or machination from him, excellence would probably just kill you.
Yeah.
Although it's a bit hard to gloat over a dead body. Although with necromancy, anything's possible.
He's a diplomat, mostly. And besides, he can't gloat if I'm dead. He likes feeling like the better, what you say, magic user. Idiot did loot.
Mistress, I know where he is right now.
Really?
Yes.
Now that's fascinating.
He's currently in the Drow city of Nokvarashna.
Ah.
Are you okay, Glory?
Can we hear
you
this?
don't often
No, you can't hear
talk to yourself. I mean, I know I mutter to Chundle through things, but unless you're picking up my nervous tics, that's new.
No. My beautiful little guy here had some insight into the matter of excellence.
Yeah, we never did address that, did we? Wait, excellence is in... He's talking about excellence, or is he talking about something else?
Oh, no, excellence.
Okay.
Nothing to be concerned with here.
Does your little friend there can tell us what happened a bit, if he's seen anything?
Oh, yeah. Well, little guy, can you tell me what happened the past 3 weeks?
Alas, not. I remember being bound to the stone when you were in the fever placed in it by my master. And then I was bound to the construct upon your hand. I remember the passage of time, but whatever they did to you also affected me. So all I know for the 2 weeks that are missing are things that I get from the memories of my brothers and sisters.
Huh.
I will say as an
Nothing-
aside, I'm so
No,
glad I can't
no.
hear that.
No, he can't remember either since he was inside the gem.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's bound to the gem.
I have got this terrible feeling that whoever's done this knows us really well and is disappointingly not stupid. I mean, there's nothing better than trying to figure something out, and the person that you're dealing with is not as smart as they think they are, and there's nothing worse
Yeah, but
than
like,
trying to figure
if
something
they're
out and they
too
actually are
stupid,
smart.
it's no fun.
You and I come from two very different schools of thought.
That is true.
He's quite the asset, mistress, but a little naive. I'm glad, too, that he cannot hear me.
I get the strangest sensation I'm being thought about.
Your ears are boiling.
Sneeze. You sneeze. So there's a thing in Japan, Japan folklore, that if you sneeze, someone is talking about you. So.
I do sneeze, yes.
Achoo.
Renata is
Can
just
you-
looking on,
Renata.
very interested at the moment, and she says,
Renata, you're a mage thing, wizard. That's the word I was
"I
looking
am
for.
indeed an arcanist. Yes."
Can you scry on Merrick? You know what he looks like, I guess. That will answer the question as to whether or not we found him, if he's still alive, or if he's yet another corpse.
Indeed, I think it's probably for the best that I do. However, don't expect miracles. If Merrick is worth his salt, he will have made preparations for such a thing. Albumin,
Yeah.
my orb, please. And a case opens up of its own accord, and poltergeist style, an orb rises out of it and floats over to her. She stretches out a hand elegantly, and it settles itself in her hand. She looks into its depths for a short period of time and goes, "Well, that cuts off that route of inquiry. Merrick Briarstone is no more. He is dead."
Right?
Okay, this will sound very creepy, but has he been left, or has he been properly buried?
He was buried, and in no tasteful state.
So we didn't kill him.
Well, I didn't say that.
Well, no, I mean I wouldn't have let him be buried in an untasteful way. There are things that I know, at least know about myself, is that I would have made sure he was laid to rest properly.
He is buried, but he is buried in a dishevelled state.
Is he in a disheveled state, or is burial in a disheveled state?
I only saw him himself. He was in a pauper's coffin, a crate, and he was underground. And he had slash.
Did he look like he'd been melted by acid?
Sadly, that is a really legit question to ask.
There's this huge sigh from Renata, and she said, "There were burns. I have to admit, I don't pay that much attention to acid burns compared to the regular kind, but there was some charring and also some general awful burn scarring. So I presume that some form of acid may have been employed, either that or intense bouts of heat."
Then we were probably there.
Yeah, that's probably us.
More specifically, Glory.
Margaret places the tea down, and Renata makes herself one of the cups of tea, goes to reach out for a little finger sandwich and goes, "No." and then just takes a sip of the tea instead. You have a feeling that your little request has put her off her lunch.
I can't help it. Like,
Yeah, we are all slaves to our impulses, aren't we?
yes.
So either, well, if he was responsible, something else befell you. Maybe an ally of his, or something along those lines, or maybe he did this to you and then died of his injuries. I don't know. Or maybe he was one step on a larger story.
He's still our best place to retrace our steps. I say we go.
Perhaps speak with him? You can cast Speak with Dead, can't you, Cameron?
Hold on. Let me just look at the spell.
How rude.
I might be able to, because I can. A corpse can only be targetable with this spell once in every 10 days. So as long as, depending on when he was killed, would depend on whether or not I can actually do it on him. So potentially, yeah.
And indeed, as to whether or not you used it on him, if indeed you were the reason for his demise. If you hadn't used it on him before, then it should work first time.
Yes.
Yes. I say we go exhume a corpse and talk to it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I can only ask it 5 questions. So we probably should figure out what 5 we want to ask whilst we're on our way to. Where was his body? Sorry.
He's in the village of Vaughnford, around about 5 days' travel from here.
That gives us time to figure it out.
I would say before you leave for Vaughnford, I would recommend that you spend a little time in the city. Have the pictures of whatever happened here before you left on that hunt come together.
Of course.
Yeah, that, and we need to rescue Aiden from the clutches of Olivia, as I'm sure she's enjoying him. I can only imagine the sorry state he'll come back in.
Renata gives you a
So
glaring look and says, Mr. Barebones, may I remind you that she is your superior in this organisation? And any interactions that she has with Mr. and then she stops herself and goes, Aiden, is purely professional, I assure you. She and Aiden have many things that they wish to discuss and get to the bottom of.
Right.
Absolutely.
She goes very, very dry on this subject, and she says, very well. I do suggest you retrace your steps here in the city. Speak to any allies that you may have spoken to in that first week. And then, when you are ready, I will have the horses, well, a coach, set with a...
Oh no, I'll just take my caravan.
I recommend a high-speed coach with 6 horses.
Damn it, I really wanted to use my caravan again. Okay. I do have a question though. I don't really talk to many people, but did I mention a paladin's name last time I was around?
No, I don't believe you did. You did spend some time with a paladin of the Raven Queen, but that was just your personal time. I only found out by hearsay.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping I'd just let that one out by accident. Okay, thank you.
May I recommend the temple as one of your stops?
It's on my list.
Very well. Do what you can to recover whatever part of your life is missing here in the city. I recommend that you rejoin the hunt, albeit carefully, and this time I'll be sending some help with you, some extra staff, who will stay out of the fight, and if you do not return for whatever reason, at least they will have as much information as possible, and they will be told to return. If you have not returned to the coach, they will return themselves, and report everything they can. I will also see if I can work on an enhancement to your badges so that I can detect you at a longer range.
Thanks.
That sounds like a very good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Renata.
No problem. I must admit I did try to scry on you a few times whilst you were there, but was unable to get through to you. If you were going against Merrick, chances are you were in some form of zone that he created himself, which meant that we weren't able to scry on him. The whole point of setting you on his trail was that we, after a while, could not scry on him at all.
Mm.
It was only the fact that he left in haste that we were able to do the divination that we were able to. Once he had been given a moment to recoup, he completely cut us off. But it looks like you found him again. I'm very pleased with you all. I need to say that now. I know that you're going through a little bit of a difficult time right now, being that someone has harmed you in a way that a simple healing spell cannot restore. But I'm glad that my faith was not misplaced. You are everything I hoped you'd be. I'm proud of you. The organisation is proud of you. You are liked throughout the organisation. A great many of us are, well, now quite worried about you, but also very much in support of you. I don't think you'll have any problem gaining volunteers to go with you as you go back to Vaughnford.
Yes.
Perhaps Hector's want to take
Do I believe
more
her?
out of the city.
Hey, are you stealing my lines?
Yes.
I thought I had the market cornered in skepticism.
Yes, I would say, do I believe her?
You know what to roll.
Oof. I want to roll
I
too.
believe her with a 2.
Yeah,
Absolutely
you
genuine.
believe her.
Absolutely genuine.
Absolutely.
I probably believe her too. It's insight, right?
Yep.
Wait, I actually have pretty good in that. That is an 11.
Yeah, she seems absolutely genuine in her gratitude and her high opinion of you.
Okay.
What does Mr. Insight say?
I hadn't rolled, but I will now because you've asked.
Oh.
Hold on. It's going to be good.
Yeah, my wisdom isn't good.
That's 24.
At
Oh, God.
24, you have a feeling that she is being a little bit sycophantic, but she still seems to be genuine. It seems to be that she's kind of bigging you up. I should imagine that she is... Well, you should imagine that she is worried that you're going to leave the organisation if this is the type of trouble you get into. So she's giving you a kind of pep talk.
That is fair, though. That is fair, though.
Yeah.
Restore some confidence is what I'm expecting.
Yes.
So you're seeing
Yes.
deception, but you're not seeing an aggressive deception. You're seeing what seems to be a kind of concerned deception. That's as close as any insight roll is likely to get you. Is concerned deception.
Right. We're probably going to need a couple of minutes to just talk things through, and you know us relatively well enough now to know what strange and unique conversation roads that we go down and the kind
Indeed.
of stuff. So
Indeed. Please
it's
enjoy
probably
the
best
tea.
if we scuttle off.
Oh,
Yeah.
if you wish to, no problem at all. As always, if there's anything you need, please ask. Everything that we have that's available and justified for any of your justified requests, we will provide. At the moment, I'm not going to assign you any new missions. It looks like you have quite the work cut out ahead of you.
Question. Would a greater restoration be able to restore our memories?
That's a little out of my wheelhouse yet.
Yes, so I'm asking if there's any way we could go, if there any temple we could go to which would have that provision.
Maybe I could help
As long
out.
as she's not saying tell.
She puts her hand at her belt and touches her own version of the symbol, which is bordered in gold, and says, "Eleanor, will you please come up here?" And a few minutes later, a priestess, well, she seems to be a priestess. She's wearing the cloak that you saw before, so the brand green organization cloak of greater invisibility, although she hasn't activated it. And she's a cleric, but she has no symbol of any
We've run
particular
into her before.
You have
Yes. Yes, she's the person she stopped me from I killed that other random.
And she took me to the potion room.
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Hello.
And you cured you cured them from their diseases as well. I remember.
It's what I do in the organisation. I believe a greater restoration of the second order is required.
Yeah, and I gently nudge Eclipse forward, and I went like, "Yes, one
it's to try if it will restore our memories because we had our 3 weeks of a memory wipe, and I was wondering if that would help."
She looks at Renata, and Renata says, "You don't need my permission for this. Please go ahead." And with a curt nod, Eleanor places her hand on your forehead, and suddenly you're bathed in a strange ghostly light. It's kind of emanating around you like an aura. And it's kind of it's a silver light, but it's kind of shadowy silver light that surrounds you. And she carries on muttering under her breath, and then brings her hand away and says, "Do you feel any different, Eclipse?"
Do I?
No, you don't.
No.
No.
Not gonna be that easy.
Really disappointedly shake my head, and I'm sorry, no. Thank you so much for trying, though. Indulging me.
Renata starts thinking, and she furrows her brow, and she's kind of looking into the middle distance and says, "When you use the mending spell on a book and you have the page, it reattaches the page. When you use the mending spell on a page that's been torn, however the page is missing, it rebuilds the paper, but it's blank paper. Maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe they can't restore it because it was removed in its entirety and not just simply modified. Either that or whatever effect has been placed upon you is more powerful than we thought."
That is concerning because the
Yes, but my
the amount
would
of power needed.
Would Eclipse know of Legends of the Wish Spell?
You've been told that magic can do anything. So the wish spell, as much as I refer to, even in character sometimes, I refer to the modify memory spell and things like that, they will have more flowery names for it. You know, you don't just say, "Oh, I cast modify memory," or "I cast whatever." As I said earlier on in the stream, instead of the identify spell, she will say an identification spell. So for normally with the wizards, they'll say, "Oh, that's a spell of the first order, second order," referring to the spell slot size, because wizards are like that and they like to file things under things neatly. But in this particular case, the wish spell is legends of incredibly powerful arcanists and otherwise who are able to connect to their power source, whether it be a god, whether it be the maelstrom, which is in this world the whirling storm, which is the source of all magic, any other source like a patron, wielding the absolute power to change reality at a fundamental level. It's not the wish spell. No one ever refers to it as the wish spell.
It's just people doing powerful shit.
Yeah, really powerful people.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, my concern that we are dealing with really powerful magic of the Ninth Order, maybe even, which is stupidly powerful.
that wouldn't surprise me.
Renata
So
again looks concerned and says, "I doubt anybody would waste the power of the Ninth Order. I'm sorry, but you're worth something to me. But what would you be worth to other people that they would use the power of the Ninth Order against you rather than just frankly killing you? They could use
Yes,
we have to.
That is what
that's
we're.
the question.
That's
why
kind
are
of
we
what we're
not-
trying to figure out.
Mm.
That's the whole point of this. So, right, where do we need to go in the city?
Eleanor
Where
turns
did
around
we
and
go
says,
in that week?
"Brother Farewell,
Mm-hmm.
I can only perform the second tier of restoration. There is a third and final tier, true restoration, but that can only be performed in a temple and with many clerics in the form of a ritual. Maybe if you returned back to the Raven Queen Temple, a true restoration would be able to be performed."
It's worth a try.
I suppose
Yeah.
if there is anything that can be restored, that would do it.
Yeah.
But if the memories are entirely erased from even our subconscious, I don't think that can be fixed. We'll just have to figure it out.
I mention it.
Well, it's worth a try anyway.
Indeed, I mention it purely as well, in an attempt to be helpful, brother. Be well.
Yeah. I you too, and thank you for your help.
Of course.
You
She
are
bows to Renata and leaves.
impressive.
She blushes a little as she leaves.
We need to figure out where we need to go. We already know that there's the temple. What else? Where else do we go? We are not going to spend a couple of weeks with you playing with your lash knife because
I'm fine. Thank
Do
you.
we have to just walk around the city until someone tries to kill us and then we know who to.
I was kind of trying to avoid that, but that might be an option. I mean,
I would like to check
I've
out
had more
the
stupid.
merchant's quarter. Noki did mention I spent a lot of time there.
That's a good point. I mean, you would have had to get stuff together to, well, learn how to enchant and get
But yes, how
materials.
did you, Renata? Doesn't enchanting take normally a really, really long time? Not just a.
Oh, it could take months. I mean, even a passing knowledge of enchantment, especially if you're learning how to make sure that the residuum doesn't explode in your face, you would need to work for weeks and weeks to do even the most base level enchantment. And then after that, you would have to be practicing on a regular basis. I mean, it took me years to be able to do some of the items that you see here. And she lifts up the scrying orb, and the scrying orb, as if to say that this is her work, and says, it took me 7 years to know how to create this, and then it took me 2.5 years to actually create it.
Yes, apparently though, Glory here enchanted that little jewelry thing she has on her hand in 1 week, and she didn't even know how to enchant properly before that. So I'm wondering if we got what that's about.
There's a look of genuine shock and surprise on Renata's face, and she says, "I thought you came with that. You always had, albeit a rather," and she struggles for a word and says, "instinctive form of magic, but I thought the enchantment was just something that was taught to you by your family."
I don't remember being taught it by my family. Like, I had an interest in all things arcane back home. I lived in the city of the scholars, so it was interesting. But I didn't actually start looking into enchanting until, well, I was here in Oz.
Careful, mistress. Careful what you tell her. She's starting to get suspicious of you. I can smell it rolling off her body. I have the answer for you. It is the gem. The gem itself was enchanted by Zariel himself and given to Freynier 3 years ago as a reward. Freynier sent the gem. The gem bestowed the knowledge when it came into contact with your skin. Do not tell her this. It is a delicate enchantment. Not many people know it. One that Zariel keeps close to his chest. I would not want this petty mage to start studying the gift bestowed upon you by your family.
I think back to him. Of course not. So, yes, I don't quite know. So it is why I want to look into it.
I really want to insight, but that's so metagamey.
Well,
I'm just gonna take her on her face value. No, it's
Yeah.
really metagamey because I'm creeped out by the voice, so I won't.
yeah. But I'm gonna say, isn't Renata gonna do a insight check on Glory?
She might, but that's all behind the DM screen.
Yeah.
We need to get a move on because we've been sat around for like 25 minutes and we need to go do something because the boy is getting testy.
Okay. If there's nothing else, Renata bids you a good day, and you leave the study. Are you going to try and retrieve Aiden?
Yes.
Oh, come on, don't. No, that's I'm being
Are you
cruel.
sure
I really
you
can't.
want to interrupt him? I mean,
My woman.
This is
that
a
is
jealous
fair
side
enough.
of you
That
that
is
I've
fair enough.
never seen. I never thought you were quite that possessive of a person, Eclipse.
you
no.
know my people.
I mean, it's not that.
Yes.
You go
I
downstairs.
shall go and be. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm gonna go and try to retrieve Mr. Aiden from the clutches of Olivia Storm.
The first person that you meet down in the foyer is a servant called Lionel, a small gnomish guy, and he says, "Can I help you, Miss Eclipse?"
Yes, I was looking for our friend Aiden. We would like him to come with us.
Both he and Olivia Storm left around about 10 minutes ago. They walked out, turned left, but other than that, I'm afraid I have no idea where they're going. They didn't say.
Well, if she's letting him have any alcohol, she peace of mind from me. Anyway, let's go, guys.
You mean
He doesn't respond at all to that.
Yeah.
It's above his
No,
station,
no,
and he gives
no. I was.
he gives you a
I
kind
was
of neutral
speaking to- I
frog
was
mouth
speaking to
nod
myself.
and lets you go.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The city is yours. What would you guys like to do? I mean, are you going to form a plan amongst yourselves? This has gone sandbox, so I have no idea where it's going to go.
So we have the temple to visit, the market to visit.
Merchant
Cora?
quarter. Yeah.
Thank you. Cora, anywhere you want to go?
To be honest, I really don't know. I don't know.
I don't care.
I just don't know. I'd rather know who to fight and fight them than be stuck here not sure what we're doing or
I agree.
why.
It
I
would
mean-
be nice to get some frustration out. This situation is making me uneased.
Should we just start? I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like
Try the
anything has been
There's
concluded.
no point trying to figure out what happened if it can be fixed. So let's start with the temple.
Yeah, let's go there. If we can fix it, then we'll move on. If not, I feel like we just need to just keep doing something else. Like if someone's modified our memory and they're this smart that they can do it, we could get our memory back and they could do it again. So I don't know how useful it all is anyway. Well, they tried and succeeded before.
I just wanted to, out of character, remind Cora and Fowl that if this could possibly have any connection to the red things you found.
Oh, right.
Well,
Maybe,
it would be a bit rough. I don't think it's going to be the first on the
No, not the first
thing
on the
that comes
bat.
to mind.
Just kind of remind you guys of that, because can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still a thing.
I mean, there's stuff to do with the spells and necromancy and death and stuff, I think, but it's probably not first on the list.
It does link in, but it's got to come organically, and the temple is the sensible place to start, as Glory said. So we take a good trundle over to the
Freetown.
Over to Freetown and into the temple.
Yeah.
Very well.
As we enter Freetown, Glory will be slightly like she hasn't been in this part of the town before. It's like
whereas I think me and Cora are going to be infinitely more relaxed. It's good to be home.
Cora is going to be like, just I'll meet you at the temple. I just want to check something, and she's going to run off in the direction of the Gatherall household thing and see if everything looks normal after 3 weeks.
Okay.
Right.
Yep, sounds good.
I really wish she would stop running off.
Let's do this. You go to the Gatherall household and you see...
I mean, I don't just walk straight up there. I do my usual, like, up onto a rooftop or whatever. Just spying technique.
Okay, so you're gonna go and do the whole kind of rooftop thing.
I'm gonna mask of many faces into the same kind of little halfling kid that I have used before. And
okay, are you still going to be on a rooftop if you're already disguised?
Bear
in mind, mask of many faces.
Maybe not.
Just walk straight up to people.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sort of wander around, like, in that general direction.
You've got the background urchin, so you don't have to do any form of acting to do this. So you start to act just like any Freetown kid. You're walking around, you're kicking stones, you're looking bored, and you're wandering past the Gatherall household, and there are two people talking. One of them is the mother of the household, and the other one is a neighbour that's known her for around about 40 years. It's kind of over the fence chatter without the fence. And they're talking about a little mystery. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it's just that, whoever was this mysterious benefactor, probably croaked it or something. Or maybe they're just down on their luck. I think it was the temple myself, that they would drop a little bit of coin here, a little bit of coin there, and, maybe alms are down or something, I don't know. Or maybe it was Robar and he's, he trickled in some money to make sure we didn't spend it all at once, but now those coffers are gone dry. Robar would deny it, of course. And then the Gatherall mother, the mother of the Gatherall family, says, I'm just not sure. I don't know, it just seemed so us. It seemed like such an us thing to do. I thought it was one of the people around here, and, everybody knows everybody around here. They see all the comings and goings. I would have thought that maybe you would have seen somebody going off and doing things in the city, and then that stopping, and then the money stopping at the same time. You know how modesty works around here. Even when you're helping people, you don't like to poke your head above the water just in case people ask for more than you're capable of giving. I mean, it was true of my girl before she died. You know, she would go out, do what she could, bring back what she could, and she didn't really ask much for it. She just came in. She used to put the money on the table and used to go up and get washed and go to sleep half the time because she'd be knackered, bless her. But I don't know. I just wish things were a little more simple. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we didn't spend all of the things that was given to us. Oh, no, I didn't either, love. You know, it's all in a safe place. And she kind of taps her nose and says, "Yeah, it'll see us good for a while. Just still a bit of a mystery, isn't it? You know, the mysterious benefactor." But there we are. Well, wherever they are, bless them. Bless them. I hope they're not dead. Life's so cheap as it is, and someone who gives a lot like that doesn't deserve to have what they have taken from them. True. True, very true. Anyway, I've got to go and fix some of the nets that just got brought in. Have you got a few yourself? Oh yeah. They've got all the work shared about here. That was from Robar's lot as well. Thankfully, he's got boys down the docks, always touting for a little bit of work to come our way. Anyway, you take care, love. I'm going to go inside. The bones are getting cold. Yeah, you go ahead. Dos, the older halfling that goes inside, leaves. I'm trying to remember who the mother of the Gatherall family is.
I can tell you that it is Lavinia.
Lavinia, that's it. Lavinia stays outside, and she's looking at the sky, looking at the clouds as they kind of pass by. You know that she's always loved just kind of laying back in the grass and looking at the sky. There's no grass around here, so she just leans against the wall and she's just staring up at the sky. A few birds fly past, and she kind of her gaze follows those for a second. And by the way, anybody who's viewing, you can also check names like Lavinia. If you look in the information section below this stream, there's a book. Previously it had broken image links and a few other different bits, but now it's been updated. The image links work, and also it has a story so far that I ended up writing, which for 23 sessions as it was back then, ended up covering 3 pages of A4. So yeah, you can catch up or look up anything in there. She's looking at the sky, and there's a kind of dreamy look over her face, and she seems to be mouthing something under her breath, but you're not close enough to find out what. Is there anything else you'd like to do, Cora?
No, I will head off and head round back towards the temple.
No, give us more backstory.
You do pass Robar as you walk down the street. Because you look like this little urchin child, all he does is give you this characteristic broad, square-chinned smile. His older face now haggard and a little bit of dry skin going on there. He gives this big smile, and he's got these laughter lines that just crease up on his face. Very very charismatic, and a kind of beauty that goes on into old age. Just this huge dark-skinned man with these piercing blue eyes, and always ready with a smile, even though you know by reputation, through a life of hard work, his joints are constantly aching, his muscles have been torn too many times, so that he spends a lot of time with the onset of old age starting to show, but he never lets that show on his face, and he just gives you again this little smile, this little nod, for this little halfling child that's just walking down the street, and he passes by, walking with purpose, and also with his well, I guess you could call it a cane or a walking stick. It's actually a cudgel. It's got a big, thick, bulbous end on this wooden, let's say, walking stick quarterstaff, and you know that that's a piece of ironwood, a very heavy, dense piece of wood. And this one, it's a knot that's come out of the side of a tree, clearly, and you know that he can break skulls, spines, whatever, if anybody was to try to take him down in the street. He may be getting on in age, but he's got a formidable strength. You pass by him and carry on towards the Raven Queen Temple.
I kind of jog it because I know that Farewell is probably freaking out.
Why are all my people disappearing?
Well, it's more along the lines of, why does she keep running away?
While through a really small little, I'm going to go through a tight little alley or something when there's no one around and come back into being Cora.
Sure, not a problem. Again, you have the urchin background, which means that you go through the city at double speed. You know that they would have taken the main routes through the city, and you managed to make good time by going through all the little back streets and over certain gardens that you know keep their gates open and all the rest of it.
Nowhere near any dogs, though.
No dogs. No dogs.
No dogs.
No dogs.
No dogs.
Still cannot
You might just start
believe you did
crying if you see a dog.
I can't believe you did that either.
that. Farewell and company. You get to the temple and go through the main double doors, and there's a beautiful sound that hits you. It's the sound of collective song. A choir are singing a slightly dirge-like hymn. It's both beautiful but sad, solemn, and you know that this is one of the hymns of the mourner. And you can see that there are some family members and things that are sat there. It's not a funeral, but this is a service of remembrance. And there are people from all over the city here, not just Freetown. There are people who have come out of the city into the Raven Queen's Temple to be able to remember. And you know that one of the benefits of coming to the Raven Queen's Temple for such a thing is that it's been said that those who pray to the Raven Queen and listen to the music can get messages or visions of their loved ones, sometimes getting messages from beyond the grave. As you walk in, the priestess who is stood in front of the choir looks over to you, does a double take. You know that this is Dusk Elmheart, a tiefling. And
Oh yeah, you've mentioned her before.
yeah, she is the archpriestess of this particular temple, and she looks over in your direction a final time, gives you a nod as if to say, "I'll be with you when this is finished," and carries on with the incantations. However, another figure breaks off from one of the side parts of the church. I forget what the side part of the church is called, and
Vestibule?
it may be a side vestibule or something. I think it's called an apse, and starts walking pointedly towards you, Farewell. This is a very large figure, and it seems to be a Goliath female in what seems to be greyed out plate mail, and there's a Raven Queen pennant or tabard over the top of the armour. She walks straight up and says,
You take some instinctive steps backwards and may or may not put my very nice halfling friend between us.
"Well, your halfling friend hasn't turned up yet."
Oh. Okay, that would have been his inclination. He would have moved to where he would have expected her to be,
Yep.
realised that there wasn't anybody there,
Yep.
and just gone, "Oh, hello."
So she walks up to you and says, "Farewell. You're back. How did it go?" You notice she's very soft-spoken for a Goliath, for any Goliath. She's very soft-spoken. Almost a whisper sometimes.
Big lady.
She's
Oh,
she's about 7 foot tall.
This is glorious weakness. This is glorious weakness. This is glorious absolute weakness.
It's a big lady, like.
You'll forgive me. My memory has been a little spotty for whatever happened over the last 3 weeks. I don't remember anything. So you know me, but I genuinely don't know who you are.
Oh, I see.
Wait.
Yeah.
I'm
We
Callus.
lost our.
I'm Callus Strongarm.
God.
And you and I spent a week, about 3 weeks ago, performing a vigil.
Stronger, you say?
That means something to Corinne, maybe not to Eclipse, I assume.
Strongarm is a very common name amongst the Goliaths. Normally, there's it's like the Jones of Goliath names. Very common. There's an entire clan.
So she wouldn't necessarily be related to the war hero Sula Strongarm.
In the same way that anybody with the surname Jones is probably very, very loosely related to Tom Jones the singer, but not really at all.
Okay.
It's not unusual.
Okay.
Okay.
We spent a week doing a ritual for what?
I got it, Simon. Nobody else did.
I apologise, Kate.
I will safely say that I glossed over that for the
Probably for best.
Yes, for best, and keeping this train on some form of tracks rather than derailing it every 6 seconds as we normally do.
We love you, Simon.
She's a lady with strong arms. Why wouldn't you be derailed?
Strangely, why do we both agree on that? Anyway, the question has been asked. What was the ritual?
The ritual was a form of spirit journey into the land of death itself, a form of seance, but where you transubstantiate into the ethereal realm and walk through essentially walking up to the gate of death itself in order to perceive any undead that are around you. Normally ghosts, not ghosts that manifest in this plane, but ghosts that are just naturally resolving their issues before they themselves walk through the gate. And many wisdoms can be found there. Many of the Raven Queen's muses and so forth can be found. We all do it, clerics, paladins, when we need to find answers. You were very adamant that you wanted to ask about some people who may have died. She kind of looks around as if to say, can you trust these two? At this point, as Cora walks in, but she looks at Glory and Eclipse and kind of gives you a look as if to say, can I trust these two?
Yeah, you can. It's good. They don't know details, but
okay, you're trying to find
they're
your
earnest.
family. You believe that your family had perished on this material plane, but they had unresolved business, and as such were crying out for resolution. One of the many things that we do here in the service of the Raven Queen, that they were crying out for vengeance or closure or something along those lines. It started haunting your very dreams. You ended up exhausted, unable to sleep most nights, and every time that your thoughts would return to this, you were distracted, terrified, exhausted most of the time. It was better to face it head on. You and I stepped out of this plane and started walking And we started walking through the mists of the ethereal plane.
Did I get my answers?
Not really. You got, I suppose, closer to where the answers did not lie. So you know that they were not ghosts, whatever it was that you perceived when you stepped into that vision room in the university. They were not ghosts in the ethereal plane. They were maybe somewhere else or some other form. And the fact that they were crying out your name, it could be... The ethereal plane is a dangerous place. These could be some form of creature that dwells there, one that takes a sick pleasure on taunting people on their pain. It may have just concocted this as some form of charade to torture you, to feed off your negative energies, off your fear, off your torments, off your anguish. Or what you saw could indeed be the souls of your family. You don't know 100% that they're dead as well, remember, Farewell. You could have just, I don't know, gone to a place that was incredibly dark and heard them crying out for help. I don't want to give you that hope, but I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't mention it.
No. Thank you.
Not at all. It was my honour to walk through those places with you. We had a number of battles. It was very interesting. And then, well, then there was the visitation, of course.
What?
The being.
What? No.
A greater undead walked up to us and started speaking in what was tongues to me, but seemed to be a language that you understood. They gave you the... And at this point, she kind of comes very close to you and says, they gave you the knife.
Oh.
A knife?
Right.
You appear to be incredibly rattled by what they had to say, but you accepted the knife nonetheless. This was a greater undead as well, one that was incredibly powerful, but an undead that was the right side of the veil. It was not trying to break through into the material plane. It did not attack us, and so we were ready to defend ourselves, we were ready to flee, but it came up, spoke to you, and then walked away.
Oh dear.
It seemed to be some form of sage or seer. We questioned for days afterwards whether or not it was a servant of the Raven Queen, albeit a rather unsavoury type. Remember, she has servants both sides of the veil. This may be beyond our ken, but it is entirely possible that that was given to you by the Raven Queen herself. You did not divulge to me what we called the Dark Sage gave to you, or spoke to you, in terms of information. But you took the knife, saying, this is something that I have to figure out for myself. And I respected your wishes.
Yeah, in future, maybe ignore me when I say something quite as stupid as that. I have a terrible feeling that this is all beginning to get very, very interwoven. Ah, boy.
So you got your knife from...
You've not seen the knife. The only person that's seen the knife is Cora.
Yep, only Cora has
Didn't you
seen
summon
the
it? Didn't you summon it when we were standing all in a circle and you summoned it?
Nope.
No.
The only scene with the knife so far is that he showed it to Cora, he slashed through the air and appeared on the other side of the room.
And then as we left, I let it go and it disappeared into smoke, and I've never drawn it back out since.
So
because
what
it
did you
scares
get?
the shit.
Yeah. So, Fermin, what did you get exactly from this thing? A knife?
something
Because she mentioned a knife. Yeah.
Yeah, no. She said that out loud.
Yeah, she did say. Well, she said it with lowered voice, but I'm going to say that you guys were probably close enough.
Knowing Clips's innate curiosity and inability to stay out of other people's business,
she really is a cat, isn't she? She really is a cat.
She really is. And she's very true to her nature. We'll most definitely have heard that entire conversation. And yes, I have a knife now that I can summon when I need to, and it does things, and it scares the living shit out of me. So I've made a decision that unless I have to, I'm not using it. Unless I really have to use it, I'm not using it because it scares me.
The knife doesn't really sound like your style, Mrs. Farwell, to be honest.
No.
The terrifying bit, I would have said that was very on brand for me at the moment. These last sort of couple of weeks have been just wall-to-wall fear. I mean, spooky, magical, mystical knives, no, that's definitely very, very new for me.
One question, is it cooler than my knife?
It is a very important question, this.
Very, very important.
I genuinely have no way of answering that. I don't know. It's not a knife at the end of the chain, so I think on the ancient woven rule of cool, I think you win. And it's not so much of a knife as it's almost like a machete, like a short sword kind of size. So they're not really in the same class, but I do think yours is a little bit cooler than mine.
Also, I believe that Farewell's object is less a knife and more a relic, I would say. For Glory's information, by the way, as I say, Kala is about 7 foot tall. She has a square bone structure on her face. She has perfect white globes for eyes. All of the Goliaths that I have in this world have featureless white globes for eyes. And she has effectively kind of cornrows that go down to around about the small of her back, and they're bound together by metal bands. And you do notice that as she moves around, the metal bands are magnetic, so that her ponytail doesn't kind of flick around too much. They actually stick to her armor. So she's put on her hair clasp, she's put little magnets, probably because she's fed up of maybe turning around too fast or swinging her weapon, which you cannot see. She hasn't got a weapon on her at the moment. Maybe she's fed up of swinging her weapon around too fast and then being hit in the face by her own ponytail.
I feel, Carla, that I owe you a great deal over the last period that we were together, and
not at all. You've been part of my path, Farewell. You serve as I serve. You brought to me the path that needed to be trod for being able to stay in service with the Raven Queen. You owe me nothing.
Regardless, if you need me, you will know where to find me, and I will help, no matter what.
If the Raven Queen brings to me a service, then I shall make sure that I call upon you.
Thank you.
Well, with the temple.
Go on.
I was going to say, we came to the temple for information, but also for a specific service.
I was going to discuss that with High Priestess Duskheart Eclipse.
Okay.
I think that Kala might be able to assist, but maybe, and I mean this with no disrespect, but this kind of spell we want not really in her ability.
Indeed. I cannot perform many of the rituals that the priestesses can, and I'm happy to be able to just perform the vigils that I can. It plays to my strong suits. It's well, and she kind of shows these two gigantic arms and says, "When I'm needed, I'm called upon." But you're right. This is for High Priestess Elmhart. Here she is now. The tiefling walks up to you and walks straight up to Farewell, embraces him, and says,
Guys. Glory just swoons in the background when she does the thing with the arms, just so you know.
Calla is
at this stage.
furious.
It's just at this stage. It's just like you do you, girl. You do you.
At this stage, it's you do everything. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
High Priestess, it is a pleasure to see you again. And actually, out of all the people, she's one of the few people that Farewell will actually embrace.
Sure.
It's...
You know that the embrace is very much a kind of solidarity thing. So she's
my cleric.
Yeah. So
is Clara with us yet?
Cora's already turned up. I said that she turned up as the conversation with Calla was continuing. So the hunt was successful?
So we can confirm that we told you at least what we were doing. We'll have to apologise. We are in that horrible phase of having to go to lots of places and repeat ourselves multiple times. So if it's okay with you, I'll just go with the Cliff Notes version, which is no memories, can't remember the last 3 weeks, appeared in the middle of town. I've come here to perform a ritual that maybe restore all of the memories.
You go through the story with her and she says, "Very well. What can I do for you?"
It was suggested that maybe together a combined ritual of restoration could perhaps undo some, maybe all of what was done to us.
The ritual of true restoration.
Yes. If I'm honest with you, I think it's pretty much gone, and we are going to struggle, but we have nothing to lose and everything to gain, so it makes sense to do it.
Well, the ritual, once cast, can do an entire group. We had a few people in here earlier who wanted restoration for various things. One person wanted to shed the bitterness and deceit that he felt in his heart. He was ready to atone, and so he joined the circle. We also had somebody who, after their coming of age, realised that they were in the wrong body, and so they joined the circle. And all were restored by the benevolence of our goddess. Let's do the same to you. Let's do the same to you all now.
Should we call Aiden first to have... We're missing one person, and instead of doing it twice, or are you happy doing it twice?
I would suggest that maybe, if you remember what happened to Noki when he tried to peer and it hurt him, I would suggest that just in case that this could go really wrong, that we only do it to one of us.
Yeah.
Farewell. You forget where you are. We are there is no stronger place than here. Also,
and I know for a fact that. Oh no, sorry. I'm not worried about you getting hurt. I'm worried about, and I point to my friends. I'm worried about them getting hurt.
We shall make sure that they do not.
Which is why you will do it on me, and if it works, then them.
Well, won't that take too much energy from them? They probably can't twice in one day.
This ritual is something that we could do all day long. The power
We
comes
don't
from
know.
within you all. It does not come from us. This is simply us connecting you with the goddess, and then any change that is in your heart, in your soul, to perform, will be performed. Please.
I think Farewell's got a point. Because we don't know if we requested this.
Yeah, and that's kind of still something something stopped us from doing what we wanted to do.
If you requested this, and it is in your heart that you should not remember, even that you can't remember that it is in your heart not to remember, then nothing will happen, and therefore everything will be fine. I dare say, with this Noki that you spoke about, that he was using a more aggressive means than we are. We are simply going to connect you with the goddess. Your heart will call out to her and ask what it asks. If it is to be done, she will do it, not us. We simply connect you like connecting two people in ascending. That's all the ritual is. I'm going to give a bit of background lore actually to True Restoration. So True Restoration, you won't find it in any D&D book. It is a ritual that's performed in Ilaria, and it is a ritual of penance. It's a ritual of change. It's a ritual of becoming one's true self. It's used for a number of different things. People who are ready to let go of painful pasts will have True Restoration cast upon them as part of a ritual. It can only be cast as a ritual, and by many clerics. Thankfully there's enough here. And they will suddenly feel like they've let go of the past, weight will be lifted off their shoulders, and it can be used for more dramatic things as well. So for example, people who are going through a transition, so trans community in Ilaria, will, when they believe that they're ready to go through a physical transition, whether it be male to female, female to male, or anywhere else within the gender spectrum, they will then take the moment to go to one of the temples, request to be part of the ritual of True Restoration, and after the ritual is complete, they will have the physical form that is their true self. As a result, you don't really see people who are in the middle of a trans journey in Ilaria, because they walk up to a temple, it gets done, and then the true form, the form that is their true identity, walks out of that temple. In this particular case, it's restoring the memories that you believe in your soul, in an instinctive way, that you should possess. And so connect with your goddess. However, it is still a divine spell. I will give you that that limitation to it all. So that if you do go through this, if, for example, someone did use, as Corinne pointed out, the wish spell, the wish would have to go toe-to-toe, your goddess would have to go toe-to-toe with the wish. And the connection that is between you and the goddess is only as strong as the people casting it. So this is not an uber restoration that's going to fix everything. It is by no means wish level, unless you have incredibly powerful clerics who can kind of stand side by side with the goddess to restore it, in which case it's effectively a wish spell. Okay? So bear in mind that lore that Farewell knows very, very well. The rest of you don't. Farewell knows this all too well. He's been in part of the chorus as they've cast what is a very simple ritual. As I say, it's like connecting two people on the telephone, as far as they're concerned. It's the divine version of that. Bear in mind this lore. Do you still want to go ahead on your own, Farewell, or do you want everybody to go at once?
The natural part of him will want to do it himself. He's too worried about the others, that the image of them getting hurt, but it's a tough call.
Eclipse wants to go. She does not want to wait. She was like, if this wants to, like...
We all know we all know what Eclipse wants. It's not Eclipse wants not is necessarily the best thing for Eclipse.
Well, she wants
seeing point the lash knife is not necessarily the best thing to have ever given her.
Well, how about we take our break and you guys decide during the break who would like to go into the ritual and who would like to wait for the next one.
Could I ask a quick question?
By all means.
I wonder if Cora would know the lore of this spell, as it might well have been discussed by her and Farewell a year ago.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He would have definitely told her if she asked.
I'll go with that. Rather than going for any rolls or anything like that, I would say that because your friend is a grave cleric, and not only that, he's a verbose grave cleric who writes down everything, mulls on everything. I'm going to say yes. That
it was just a certain thing in that description that might make her worried about doing this, and I'll message in the break and
yeah, by all means, yeah. I see where you're coming from, okay. But yes, send the message anyway to make sure I'm right about what you're saying. But yes, I will certainly do that. So for everybody watching, we're going to go into a quick break. A few things first. Whilst we're on the break, if you'd like to go to geekyclean.com, we have 10% off. If you buy something, go to the checkout, type in the word chaotic, all lowercase, and you'll get 10% off. The postage, I've spoken to James and Steph about the postage for overseas. It's, I think, £6 or £8 for, and that's just a flat fee for sending out bath bombs and smellies and what have you. And I think that's worldwide, that's international. And it's only £4 for the badges, and the badges are all sorts of critter badges. I think you can get Canadian critter, US critter. I've got, my bag isn't around here, but I've got UK critter badge. They have Pride critter badges and things like that as well. So if you want to check it out, it's a really fantastic place to go to. Second thing about the break is thank you very much to our own Felicia, who has put together a fantastic GIF for us to be able to show off some of the art. So we're showing off Feline Trickster art, Rattlesire art, we're showing off Leanne or Roan, for those who have seen them on the chat. And I'm trying to see if and of course Felicia's art herself. There's one final thing as well, and that is that there will be a trailer for the web series that our very own Kate is responsible for. It's called Ren, the Girl with the Mark. I've only started watching it myself because gainful employment and writing campaigns and all the rest of it. So I've only just got around now to watching it, but it's beautifully produced, and it's something that Kate's actually been nominated for an award for Best Director, is it?
Yes, I currently have a nomination for Best Director at Miami Web Fest, and I've won it once before at Seoul Web Fest or Seoul Web Fest.
Fantastic.
And we've won loads of awards. If I didn't have a naked mannequin next to me, I'd turn the camera and show you the awards. You'll just see a naked mannequin. So.
Yeah, and none of these things are adverts. We don't really do adverts. This is just us showing love to our allies in the community, the artists that are our friends and allies, and also provide some lovely art. Geeky Clean, as I say, a fantastic company that's within the role-playing community. And again, some fantastic art from Kate and I'm trying to remember, it's Mythica, isn't it? Mythica Entertainment, who provide this beautiful web series which you can just go to YouTube and start watching. I have a feeling over Easter I'm going to be having a huge binge, and then I'll be probably conspiring with Kate about theories of plot and all the rest of it. So I'll be a little bit of a pain. But anyway, that's all coming up in the break. We will see you guys in around about 10 minutes. See you later.
Give it back.
The Carnath protect us.
Why don't you like them?
You don't know them as I do.
I know they saved us from the marked ones.
There's only one reason why they'd be in Limgar.
But no one here has ever seen a marked one. Who are you?
Get out of here!
Amari spirit. It's found a new vessel. I'm marked.
What have you done, Ren?
You won't go away, will you, Ren?
I can't leave. My family needs me.
All the people you know will think you're evil, dangerous. They will hunt you down.
Anyone caught harboring a mark will be punished. Anyone caught helping a mark will be punished. Anyone caught in support of a mark will be punished.
Welcome back, everybody. So I've put the stream vote up already. Let me bring it back up on the screen so everybody can see it. Votes in there already. Who should get the finesse point? I will
cheats.
quickly put a timer up. Let's have. I'll give it, say, 10.
I'm not allowed to click, so clearly that's probably for the best.
There we go. And after 10 minutes, I will give somebody the finesse point. I don't think it's going to be used in this session, but who knows. So, you all take a moment to decide whether or not you want to enter this ritual. Who knows what, in your heart of hearts, you really want, and what kind of effect it would have of you. Remember, this is not a ritual that, unlike the other restorations, will simply just get rid of a short list of effects. It's something that will fundamentally connect you with the divine and allow changes to take place if necessary, or whether they're physical, mental, emotional. This is something that you have to decide. Dusk looks at you all and says, "Who would like to step forward?"
I step forward.
Glory actually stays back.
Okay.
I'll take my turn with Aiden if it works.
Very well.
Right.
Cora,
I'm
what do you
assuming
think?
Stepping forward.
He hasn't moved yet. He's looking up. What do you think?
I don't know. You know this more than I do. Do you actually think it's gonna work?
Nope. But to be honest, I think that might have more to do with us than the spell or the effects. I don't think we're ready. I don't think there's a change in us that we are ready for yet.
Well, yeah. I guess it's worth a try. I'm kind of worried that this is something that we wanted, and we don't want to know what happened. But
yeah.
Wouldn't you, Carol, if you would have wanted this, would you not have written down in your book, "You want this," and just left it really vague?
Maybe, but then when someone cuts out like a big chunk of my book, very neatly and with great care.
But if you did that, you would probably still leave a page saying "You want this," right?
No, assuming that I didn't cut the pages out myself. Look, whoever did this took the care not only to let me keep the book, but not ruin everything else that I put in it, which shows a level of kindness and understanding of who I am as a person and how important this thing is to me. Now, I could be reading too much into that, and it's just somebody dedicating, but whoever did this, if it wasn't me, would have read it, every page, and would have anything that looked like code or anything that would have relied on that, they would have cut it out. I'm not convinced that I didn't want this on some stage. There is something that I might have seen or done that I wanted to forget.
Well, I would certainly left a message to myself, note on me or something if I wanted. So
I might not be as smart as you, though, Eclipse.
No, but considering I don't have a note on me saying that I wanted this, then I assume I don't want to do this. So therefore,
well, maybe you're right, and maybe it was done to you, but and it wasn't done to us. And what terrifies me is Did we do this to you?
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we?
Dusk, does this just affect our memory? I mean, could it just affect our memory? We're just trying to get back the last 3 weeks.
If that's truly what you want, that's what will happen. If it is correct that it should be so.
Okay, so if we did it, it's just not going to work, right? So, sure. I step forward, slightly reluctantly.
Very well.
I'll join them as well, and
Okay.
I offer both of them my hands.
Okay, so Eclipse, Farewell, and Cora step into the centre of the church. The priestesses walk up to the chorus, themselves made out of lay members and clerics of other various levels, mostly low-level clerics that go out into the city and do the good under the banner of the Raven Queen. And then the song starts. Beautiful, tragic, mournful, and yet soothing. It starts to rise up from the voices of the entire choir, from all the priestesses and priests that are around you. And they bring forward small censers, and they take the top off the censers and place the fingers inside, and they come out, the fingers tipped with ash. They walk up to each of you and they place the ash on your forehead, and they say, speak with her. Be honest to yourself and to her. Simply give in, and she will grant you what you wish. They step back, and after that it's very, very simple. It's not something that you can see is particularly arduous. All it is a large convocation of the faithful, singing as one and connecting those that they focus on with the goddess that they serve. You can feel a strange sense of anticipation, maybe a little bit of anxiety, and it builds up and builds up. You notice that off to one side, Kala herself is singing as well. And if you try to pick out her voice amongst the throng, she actually has quite a mellifluous voice, gentle, rolling, harmonious. And you start to relax. You start to feel that this is a safe place, that everyone around you is faithful and believes only in your goodwill. Your heart starts to slow and your vision starts to blur very slightly. You have a feeling, this is a heady feeling that comes with the ritual itself, as you start to connect with something that is so much greater than you. You feel yourself connected with something that's not of this earth, a strange energy, like a tapestry that's weaving through all of you, through the chorus, through the paladins that have now stepped up to take a look, through the priestesses, and through each other, as you're all connected by one great circle of life. This is the main thing that the Raven Queen is concerned about, and that is entwined fate. And it's at that point you feel a sense of discord start to bounce between you all. If indeed this is a tapestry, if there's this strange web of energy connecting you all together, it's almost as if those threads that connect you are being strummed like a guitar string, but not in any way that is in any way melodious, but instead clashing, jarring. There's something uneasy about it all. You know that this is a wholesome thing that they're doing, but there's something uneasy, something's fighting it. As was said before, the power of the clerics that are involved in this ritual empowers the link between you and the goddess. You do feel the benevolence of this divine being bestowed upon you, but you also feel that the connection is being strained. And at that point,
can I add my voice to the song?
Yeah.
And see if I can somehow bolster the ritual?
Sure. I'll ask for a religion check from you.
Sure. Time we got some dice rolling. Well, that's a nat 20.
Okay.
Perfect timing.
If we're
Sing like
need...
an angel.
I can't sing for shit, so it's 26 total.
Absolutely. You connect with this power source that you know intimately.
Guys, we just had a raid.
Oh. Hello. I think my
RPG lab.
Oh, it's the RPG lab. Hello, guys. I think my chat on my tablet has frozen, but thank you very much for the raid, guys. And
so it's best you don't get distracted anyway. But thank
you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So
good job,
Nick.
You summoned a raid with your nat 20.
yeah.
Also, the finesse pointer's gone off, so that goes to Eclipse. I'll just put that next to your name. So there's a little yellow bee next to your name that means that you now have a finesse point. You can use that through your artifact.
She voted herself all the time. All 5 votes are
all
hers.
5 votes. Voter fraud.
She's just changed. She's just changed her IP.
I had a null value. There was no voting from my point of view. So it wouldn't let me.
Oh, it did.
So I don't know why.
Okay,
It's a red. I got a red sort of circle that says I can't vote.
Okay, I will have to find
Not that
out
I was going to vote.
There we go. See, you took the higher path. But at 5-2, I think it's a clear win. So yes, Eclipse has got it for this session. If you don't use it by the end of the session, it drops off again. Finesse points do that, whereas inspiration.
We haven't used any yet. We've only had 2 sessions.
We haven't really had a combat, but I'm bringing in a non-combat aspect of it as well at some point. So, and I'll get rid of the vote screen as well. So
I wanna have things.
For your natural 20, Farewell, you throw your head back and completely abandon yourself to this song. The song is an embodiment of what it is to connect to the Raven Queen herself, to give in to fate, but also to be a contributor to fate, to understand the nature of it, and also to know that as much as everything is preordained, everything is preordained through the people themselves, through the believers, through the minds and souls of those involved. It's very much a collective of the whole. And also when when they sing about the passage of life, they are talking about it in a form of beauty, an ongoing legacy, very much a circle of life type of thing. And you just allow that sensation to pass through you as you raise your head in song. You feel this connection between you all. Again, this connection of fate, the fact that fate is not an individual thing from one person to the other, that in very much a chaos theory type of way, a beat of the butterfly's wings, you're all connected, and every thread of fate, once twanged in this way that I've described, reverberates through you all. You take a look around you and you can see that the people in the chorus, the priestesses, the paladins, have a kind of strange look on their faces. They notice there's something wrong as well. However, these people who are of great faith end up singing all the louder. You can actually feel through these threads. They're pouring their heart into the ritual. This isn't just any ordinary ritual. Somebody's playing with something. It's causing quite a lot of sound. The extra, well, it's not really extra faith. Faith is a binary thing. You either have it or you don't. But they put certainly extra effort into performing this ritual. And you can feel that things are starting to get a little bit clearer. And as you do so, all 3 of you, Eclipse, Farewell, and Cora, notice that the colour is starting to fade from the world. That you're starting to feel slightly disconnected with the material world around you. And Farewell, you've done this before, and it's been part of many of your trials as a cleric. You're starting to feel yourself slip into the ethereal plane. Glory, you watch as their
I'm
bodies...
gripping onto Farewell quite hard, by the way,
Oh,
while this happened.
Yeah, you guys have never done this before, so yeah, you're gripping onto him. Glory, you watch as their bodies start to become ghost-like in appearance. They become translucent. The choristers carry on singing and they're watching intently as this is happening, and there's a kind of, it's only shown by body language, but Dusk raises her hands as if to say this is supposed to happen, and you notice as the volume dips, but then when she does this, the volume just keeps going, and they carry on with this incredibly long song. You guys,
Right.
Eclipse, Farewell, and Cora. The rest of the world is but a shadow to you now, as you've stepped into the ethereal plane. There are shadows in the corners of each of the facets of this very beautiful and ornate church, and you can feel the souls of those long gone watching you. You know that even though you pass through the gate, the divine gate when you die, to be taken off to the afterlife, there are means by which souls do come back sometimes, just to look after or look upon those that meant something to them in life. This is true here, and it's nothing new to Farewell. These figures, if you try to approach them, will just simply disappear because they're not here for you. This is all part of the symbolism of the ethereal plane. However, there is one thing that isn't usual for the ethereal plane, and that is the 11-foot angel that is stood approximately 15 foot away from you.
Oh, okay, that's. I mean, bearing in mind that I was well and truly given over to the song, do I have the wherewithal to know that there's now an 11-foot angel stood in front of us, or am I still completely enthralled in the ritual?
As much as I would love it to be kind of hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh my God, what's that?
Oh, you're big.
No, you are very aware of this presence. So this angel has dove grey skin, seems to be kind of Doc Manhattan, naked but genderless, and has giant oily black wings, and a very, as I say, gender neutral face. And in place of having regular eyes, which you've met an angel previously in the campaign Farewell, and they had regular eyes. This particular angel has burning silver fire pouring out of its eye sockets.
No.
Its wings are outstretched, so its wings are couched. It's outstretched. Each of the wings are around about 7 or 8 foot long in either direction, and it's got both of its arms raised up in benediction and its head slightly tilted back. And as I say, this silver fire is pouring out of its eyes, not in like a flamethrower sense, but there's 2 flames coming out of the eyes, and then from the flames there's these ribbons of light, like a silver aurora borealis, just spilling out into nothingness. And it's above you.
I would like to say that this isn't normal. And I'm not really sure what that is. And I'm not sure what we're going to do, but can I suggest that none of us offend it in any way, shape, or form? It will perhaps bring a new definition to divine smiting.
Eclipse that managed to not call it a giant bird. I did not do that.
Do we want to talk to this, or do we want to? Because I'm not really sure what's supposed to happen now. This usually just does its thing. It doesn't stop. Or we could just talk to it.
Hello.
Glory be to the once mortal god.
Glory.
Oh, it's one of those type of angels. Okay.
Yes, glory to the once mortal god.
Don't do that.
The Raven Queen. Yes,
Don't
glory
do that.
to the Raven Queen.
Don't do that. That's incredibly offensive. Don't do that. We agreed we wouldn't upset it. And me and my people find that very offensive.
The Weaver of Fate, the Mistress of the Gate,
There we
shines
go.
upon you this day. Step forward and state your purpose.
Now you go.
I will step forward and say, I am Eclipse of the Naru tribe, and I'm here to get my memories back.
You can see that there's something across the face of this being as they have a look of effort on their face. You have a feeling that simply worshipping God, if you're an angel, shouldn't take this much effort. There's certainly a gritting of the teeth, and you don't know whether you're imagining it, but maybe a patina of sweat across the forehead. And there's a certain strain to the voice, not that you've heard much of its voice, but there seems to be that the voice is very slightly strained, as if slightly in pain. And the angel says, look up into her face, and see what you will see. Your memories are taken by such power, and yet you may, in convocation with her, restore some. I'd like you to do a wisdom check, please.
All of us, or just Eclipse?
Just Eclipse at this point.
Is it a wisdom check or wisdom saving throw?
It's a check.
Check. Any sort of check or just straight wisdom?
It's a straight wisdom check.
Okay. My +0 is gonna be great. Right. I don't think I'm gonna get anything on an 8.
On an 8, you focus looking up at where the angel is looking in. You're just seeing at the moment this ghostly, ethereal ceiling of this rather nice church. It's not rather nice ceiling. It's got a lot of decoration, and it's kind of Sistine Chapel type of top to it. And at that moment, you do feel like you're looking into somebody's eyes, and you start to feel obsessed, focused on it. I don't want to make any jokes about, the kind of wide-eyed cat just looking at something that
I'm looking like a dumbass at the moment. I could normally when because it was quite bright, she had slitted eyes. Now she's looking like a dumbass with really wide eyes.
Yep. You do get flashes of you going through katas with a leopard-like tabaxi. Just little flashes here and there. You don't know how much you're imagining it, and then you start having kind of fevered conversations with him about how there's not enough time, you have to leave, and then you do hear this voice, this purring voice saying, "It is okay, we've managed to find a more efficient way." And at that point, there's this searing pain in your eyes, and the vision disappears. It appears that you've only managed to jump into memories of things that you have already been told about.
Wow. Right. Can someone with better wisdom do?
I'm going to say that Farewell and Cora, as you see Eclipse look up, just excuse me, instinctively you look up, if only for a moment, and immediately you're captured by the same sensation. Both of you make wisdom saving throws. Sorry, not wisdom saving throws. I'd like you both to make wisdom checks. Farewell gets to do it with proficiency.
Woo!
Meow.
So that's a 10, as I rolled a natural 2.
And Cora?
And Kate doesn't have her mic on again.
Yeah, you've.
Sorry. 22?
22.
Oh,
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
It wasn't a save. Was it a saving throw?
No, it's a check.
No. Check, so that's just the normal plus whatever on
What have you
wisdom.
rolled?
Yeah.
Plus wisdom modifier.
No, I rolled a 19, so 22.
Yeah, okay, wow. So, farewell. You look up and you start connecting with your goddess. You look up into the sky. You know to ignore the ghostly ceiling and you start looking into nothingness. You know that up, down, left, right doesn't really matter here. Most of this construct of this church is mostly there so people don't lose their minds. It's generated by their own minds, just as a safety blanket. And after a while, the more you start to disregard it, the church itself just disappears. And all that's left is both you and this angel. Even for a second, Cora and Eclipse just completely disappear. And both you and the angel are staring up at something much greater. And you realise that, again, up is only a symbolic gesture by yourselves, that you're surrounded by her. She is everywhere. As you do so, a lot of the stress from the situation that you're in at the moment and a lot of the worry, you just find that you can't let go of some of your concerns. And you start trying rather than completely surrendering yourself. You focus and suddenly there's a flash of this twisted visage that you can only barely can see. A cowled figure with not quite skeletal, still kind of thin, dry skin over bones, as dry and as delicate as papyrus, handing you this obsidian knife. The face, almost kind of Emperor Palpatine inside the hood. You can only barely see it. And again, you've got this very old figure, but the figure is smiling in a strange way. You get barely that this figure is maybe female. You immediately go, hang on, did I meet the Raven Queen? And the second that thought enters your head, no, you didn't. The Dark Sage, being what Carla called it, is a different figure altogether. But you're thinking maybe a servant, if not a particularly nice servant of the Raven Queen. You feel assured in that. Maybe the Raven Queen herself is telling you this in this moment. You focus beyond that. This is of no consequence. You know how you got the knife. You were told it by Calla already, and you're pushing into the unknown. You're there saying, no, I need to know about those 2 weeks. And you get momentary flashes, a dirt road, a couple of houses in a village. You see another cowled figure, another hooded figure, and you can see them in the dark trying to escape. At first you think it's the Dark Sage again, but then you realise this figure is far smaller. And as you look upon the figure of this quite gentlemanly halfling in a little white shirt, little waistcoat, almost like he's a little bank manager with a black cloak on, his face starts to melt away. And there's a change in the eyes. These otherwise crystalline blue eyes starting to show a more sickly colour and a look of fear, a look of panic. And then you're ripped away cruelly from this image before you can resolve whether or not this is some form of symbolism or an actual memory. That's all you get for your 10. I gave you a lower DC because of your background. Cora.
Yeah, I still rolled like crap.
Cora. You've got far more. So, you once again look up, and it's more your trust in farewell that lets you let go. Maybe a little bit of, I've been through so much. This is just another step in that journey. I'm just going to see where it takes me. And you allow yourself just this barest moment of absolute abandonment. And as you do so, it's almost as if you're flying out of your body, straight through this ghostly ceiling of the church and into what seems to be a strange and terrifying, but also, an embrace. A form of embrace. The embrace starts to change from this all-encompassing, divine, aura of being embraced, to actually feeling arms around your body. You start to feel your heart quicken, your skin start to flush. You're feeling very warm, very, very excited, very panicked and unsure. You're so confused, and then you feel it. Lips pressed against your own. Suddenly feeling like you belong for the first time in a very, very long time. That you feel yourself for a very long time. You feel warm, but confused. Unsure about what's going on. This whole thing is a whirlwind. Why? How? I've got so many questions. So many questions to ask you, and then cruelly you're ripped away as whatever connection that was momentarily allowed for you is pulled away. Whatever has been resisting this memory appearing in your head, and it burns. It burns really badly. You feel like there's two effects happening at the same time. Both the thing that removed your memories and something else. You're not quite sure. You feel mocked. Someone's laughing at you. Who? Someone who... Is that a familiar voice? You're not entirely sure. Burning. Always burning. You're suddenly angry, but then you're ashamed at yourself for being angry. The anger builds up, and so does the power. You feel air shimmering around both of your hands, feeling more powerful than ever. Yes, definitely familiar. Damn them. Them? Him? Her? You're not entirely sure. Everything starts to swirl around you just so fast. But that seems to make sense somehow. This place? Is it somehow connected with confusion? Or is it maybe you were drunk at the time? Drugged? Maybe somebody did a spell on you. Oh, if only you could just grab hold of one more split second of this memory. And then it's gone. You start to scrabble around, almost as if the memories that were momentarily available to you are like marbles being dropped onto a table and all threatening to go in different directions and fall on the floor. You're scrabbling around for these memories as if they were those marbles, and you end up grabbing one instantly, not caring which one it is, just hoping to gain something, anything. Once again you see a halfling. You see it at your height. Once again you see this face starting to shift. Shifting... No, illusion. You know illusion well. Mask of Many Faces. No, they don't have it, but illusionary. Something to do with the illusion and the halfling. Is this Merrick? You look around quickly before that memory fades away, and you see around you, well, the type of housing that's around you looks like it could be a village. Maybe you'll be able to recognise it when you go to this village that you're intending to go to after dealing in the city. Once again, you grab at another memory because this one's just evaporated from your hand. You're there looking at this ring, but this time you're in your bedroom. You're looking at it, and it's on the finger on your other hand. It's no longer on your wedding finger. You've placed it on just a part of the hand, and you're turning it, always turning it, rubbing it, wondering what's going on. You're feeling very sad, you're feeling longing, but you're also feeling happy in a very strange sense. You pick up your cloak and throw it about your shoulders, and looking back at the tavern, you quickly take a running jump straight at the wall. You phase through the wall as if completely ghost-like, and you land on the roof of the neighbouring building. Once again, the memory fades from view. You now know how your cloak works. Your cloak is able to allow you to phase through 3 items a day.
Cool.
So you can jump... 3 times per day you can walk through a wall up to 5 foot thick, or through a door, It may be even stronger. You haven't tested it yet, but it could possibly even walk through things like force fields.
Oh boy.
Shit. Oh.
Final part of your memories. The cloak.
Oh my god, there's more.
Oh
there's
yeah.
more.
Oh yeah. You
writing this down.
You hit DC 20. You're going for it. Now, bear in mind,
I'm glad you're writing it down.
I only gave one of you.
I'm not.
I only gave one of you proficiency. This is difficult to get to high DCs because of you don't get any advantages or stacking. So you hit DC 20. The final thing, the cloak, the final part of this tapestry as you weave in and out, grabbing these marbles that are all falling off the table. I'm going to use that analogy because I can't think of any other. And you suddenly grip hold of the ethereal version of your cloak here in this space. You know that you're still in the ethereal realm, that you're still going through this ritual. And you're there saying, the cloak, yes, that was some sort of deal, contract, rule. The person who gave this to me was the person who broke my music box. They broke it in, was it anger? Or were they making a point? Or were they afraid of it in some way? All of those seem familiar. Maybe it was all three. I'm not quite sure, but that person had to give me their cloak. This belonged to them. It wasn't a gift. It was an obligation. And at that point, all the marbles fall off the table, and feeling very confused, very emotional, incredibly emotional, you find yourself stood in the room. The ritual has gone. You're back in the material plane. Glory, you just watch their bodies solidify again.
Okay. That's cool.
Oh, that was weird.
Well, I got some flashes, so it seemed to be working somewhat.
I got some.
Yeah, I'm the same. I got a few things. Nothing really useful of what I wanted, but I got some stuff.
I saw a village, and a village maybe where this Merrick guy was. This cloak belonged to someone else. If we can find out who it belonged to, that might give us some answers.
It's not yours.
Well, it is now, but it wasn't. I took it from someone, I think, or I forced them, or someone forced them. It wasn't gifted. It was an exchange.
Cora, do an insight check.
Ooh.
Me? Sorry, me?
Cora, do an insight check, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So I'm trying to use D&D Beyond. I'm not used to it. Right. 19.
19. At the moment,
God, you're rolling like a jam.
At
Got
the
my
point where you
blue dice
say
back.
that someone made them give it to you, at the point where you said that, you get a flash of recognition. Almost like the words feel natural, whereas everything else did not.
Yeah, someone made them give it to me. I don't know who. I don't see that, but that seems right.
Renata?
Huh?
Renata?
We can ask. I feel like she would have
she
told
would've
us
said
that.
this, yeah.
She knew we didn't know anything. She would have told us anything she could, surely.
Could it have
She
been,
didn't. It was for a reason.
Could it have been you know who? The new
Voldemort!
friend? The you shall not be named, yes. I was desperately trying to avoid saying that for that sole reason.
You can't just say...
I don't know, maybe. But
Makes
there's no way of
sense.
knowing that.
Well, we know it's a he, or prefers he.
Do we? Hold on. Who are we talking about?
Completely trying not to speak out of character too much, but your patron.
My patron was a woman.
I thought it was a male. I thought we'd been gendered as a male.
No.
I thought it's a female, all dark-skinned, bald. I mean, that's who I had a vision of in the ball. So I don't know if that's the same. I
for some reason,
I don't think Cora knows who her patron really is. She's seen this vision. She probably thinks that that's them. I don't know. Like, Simon, correct me if I'm wrong. Does Cora know that vision was the patron, or
she suspects so?
She suspects, yeah. So
that's right. Then my notes are wrong.
Okay,
I have all of that information written down, but with he next to him and question mark.
So
I wrote that down.
Let me clarify, because this might be important. Let me clarify that when Cora felt the presence of that being, she felt a similar signature to the power that she has. So she felt her warlock power very much in the presence of this being.
The being, the vision in the ballroom.
The
Or the angel.
The bald-headed, dark-skinned.
Yes. So there was a drawing. Horse. Yes. So it was like that power kind of like boosted. So it's like, okay, there's a connection. This might be the person who gave me this, because she said stuff and cool. Thought so.
That's your suspicion based on the data you have.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Do you think it could be them?
Well, maybe, but I have no way of knowing that. But maybe if we find out who this belongs to, we'll get some more answers.
I just hope it's got nothing to do with them, mine. Because we were looking at that.
The what? Sorry.
The mine. Stage whispers, darling. Stage whispers.
I get you. What mine? What are we talking about? What do you mean mine? The mine. The mine. What are you looking at? I realised that. I'm completely confused about when were we looking at it. Okay, Kate is not keeping up very well with this game right now. Okay. Well, who knows? Also,
because I imagine in the 3 weeks that we had, all that information that I requested about that person and that you investigated, and all the other stuff that we went to look for may have come in.
Yep. Could be my patron all along. I also think oh no! See, this is where I should have written notes. What the
More than
was
likely.
the elf called?
Remember, guys, always take notes. Always
better than
always
this. That's
notes.
for sure. I have a notebook for my other game. I really should get one for this now.
What notes?
Kate, are you referring? Kate, are you referring to Lysandra?
I'm trying to think of. Is it Lysandra?
The
elf?
Lysandra was the wood elf that you chased down.
Oh, I have it written down. I just didn't know that was a thing. Right, excellent. So, yes, I think I need to find her. I don't know if she's connected, but she was one of the last one of the last people I spoke to. Maybe she knows something. I don't know.
Sorry, my cat's just randomly appeared out of a strange place and started meowing. That's just really distracted me.
Did they appear from the ethereal plane?
Like it. I just suddenly heard it just like out the corner of my eye, saw this flash of movement, and now there's this tiny black cat head that's just meowing at me.
Cats can do this, it is known.
Ethereal plane.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, okay.
Obviously, you need to pet him.
Yeah.
That's not even a question.
Okay.
I'm kind of more lost than I ever was before.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm the only one that's feeling that way.
Maybe while we still got these glimpses of memories, we should just go back to the bar and just sit and put them all down. Maybe you can write them down again in your book and try and remember and I got glimpses, you got glimpses, Cliff's got glimpses. We didn't get our memories back, but we got stuff, and it might be important.
I guess
And
the
it
good thing
means
is
that maybe Glory and Ida needs to do it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might get some more. Like
Some
anything. At the
clues.
moment, we have nothing. Well, we had nothing. Now we have at least a few things. The more leads we can get, the better.
Yeah.
There's a
I
weird angel,
think-
though, so be careful, Gloria. I don't know. Don't fight him.
Yeah, really don't.
Glory versus Angel. I kind of like this.
I'm now going through my notes.
Okay, so the ritual finishes. Dusk comes up and says, I hope you found what you were looking for. I assume by the looks on your faces that you did not regain all of your memories.
No, but thank you, because we got something, and that's more than we had before.
Something
Thank you
was
all.
resisting, and it would not have been you if you did not want something to happen. We wouldn't feel it as resistance. It just wouldn't happen. Something did do this to you. That much I can tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Be careful.
I think we need to find. I agree. I think we need to find Hobra Winterscribe.
Hobra, I should imagine she's in her offices at the moment. She is probably getting tomorrow's papers sorted.
She's
Hobra.
she's a well, for lack of a better term, she's a law bard. I was talking to her a lot about some stuff that I needed to look into for me and for you. And if we're going to follow up leads to what we did over the last 3 weeks, there's a really through from somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's from Simon. I think his computer is starting to overheat.
Let me move my.
To be expected.
Let me move my my mic away. Yes, I do have a small aircraft engine that cools down my laptop in order to be able to do this. So yeah.
I have a feeling that if we were collecting information on what was going on, and we wanted to perhaps find someone in the city, she would be one of the people you would talk to. She would know the places and know the people and know the information, and seems to be the kind of connecting party. And she might have met with us, and she may know a little bit more. It seems a sensible place as any to start.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you guys have met Hobra twice now. First of all, it was at the party where Glory connected with the Syndicate, and the second time was where you had lunch the next day. Actually, no, you had lunch the next day with the courtesan, didn't you? Rather than
breakfast with her, and then before we got to tea time with the Residium lady, we got interrupted by Dristane being kidnapped. You know.
You did. I put a lot of distractions in. You did. Sorry, you've met Hobra Winterscribe once. And as it says here in the guide, that Hobra is a bard of great renown to whom all bards and writers of the city answer. Her role is to record and report the truth, a dangerous task in a city where dark enterprises and schemes are violently kept secret. She's the city news and media mogul and can turn figures into heroes or villains and spur the people in parades or riots. She's very much one of the major players of the city, but saying that, she's one of the more accessible ones. She has a set of offices, effectively a newspaper office, in the city, and she's freely available to visit.
Makes sense to me, unless you guys think otherwise.
I'm happy. Best lead.
Sounds
We
good.
just gotta. Yeah.
Okay.
Go
so
for it.
you guys are going to an area that Glory was intending to go to as well. Yep.
Are we gonna do the ritual again for me and Aiden? We do this or?
Well, he's not here, so I figured we'd probably save that for next session when he's here, so he can get the benefit of it.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can do it next session. So you guys are going to be going to a place that Glory was intending to go to anyway, and that is the merchant district of the city.
Yeah.
So you go to the newspaper offices, which are inside the merchant district, one of the more well-to-do areas of the city. It's just outside, but I've put your marker so that you're in the merchant area. And you walk up, and it says the news of Ostergald on the sign outside the building. It's a rather large building, and you can see that people are spilling in and out, and they're going there for lots of different reasons. Some people are going there because they're asking questions of this organisation. Some people are going there because they want to give adverts or maybe set the record straight on something or sell information. It's a very, very busy building. You can also tell the bards going in and out as well, being that there's a certain amount of pride in bardic dress. Not necessarily full minstrel dress, but you've got to know how bards tend to present themselves, at least the ones who want you to know they're bards. And you go into this huge, bustling main floor where there are tellers at various desks and queues going up to them. And in a very British fashion, you're going to have to join a queue.
Is this where Nick does his very British queue thing again?
There has to be a neat line that everybody joins at the right stage. People may complain about the queue, but you're not allowed to interrupt the natural flow or order of the queue.
It's a very Swedish thing as well, queues.
I know.
Yeah.
I thought
I'm
having a big giant
Nick
store
every time because he's the one who brings it up.
I thought having a giant furniture store with a one-way system designed to confuse people was a very Swedish thing.
Yeah.
Hey, IKEA is the best place on earth. Okay, you have not lived until you have played hide and seek inside an IKEA with your entire middle school class.
I'm sorry, go big or go home. If it's not laser tag in an IKEA, I don't want to know about it. That's on my bucket list. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're going to be polite and just wait in the queue.
Sure. For the sake of brevity, because you've got 15 minutes left of this session, you queue very politely. You get to the point where you explain who you are. They take a look at your badges. They can see that you're with the Green Organisation. You explain that you spoke to Hobra during the soiree, which immediately elevates you amongst most of the hoi polloi here. They realise that only she can deal with it, and they usher you straight through. You go into a second waiting room. Thankfully, there's not many people in here, and you wait for probably a best part of an hour, all told, from coming into the first place to being able to see her. You are then ushered into her office. Her office has a number of people in there with her. She's not the type of person to just have an office to herself. This is kind of, I guess, a quarter of the fourth floor of this building. This building's got to have 7 floors easily, maybe more under the roof. And she occupies a large open plan office that takes up about a quarter of this floor. And there are lots of people very quickly scribbling down notes or arguing over points, and there's a kind of a cork board where you've got a bunch of people arguing over the events of a particular story. It almost looks like a CSI board or a conspiracy theorist board. There's actual string pointing to different notes that they put up there. This no such thing as a magical post-it note, so they're all pinned on there with little nails. And you can see a dwarven woman and a gnomish man saying, "No, it doesn't make sense. It has to be this way round." And it's got a little kind of cacophony going on. And as you start walking towards Hobra's desk, which is quite clearly at one end of this large space, you can feel that some sort of magical effect is making this hubbub die down the closer you get to her desk. And finally, when you get there, there's an assistant putting out enough chairs for all four of you, and Hobra says, "Please, take a seat. It's so lovely to see you. How can I help you again?"
Strange question, but have we met in the last 3 weeks?
Well, of course, Farewell. You asked me to gather some information for you. Well, you all did. Aiden isn't here, and I'm afraid I can't divulge the information that I told him, but yes, I did do some work for you all.
Right, very good, because we have lost our memory of the last 3 weeks, so any information you have is great.
Immediately her hand flies to a small pad to her left, and she starts scrawling.
We would really
in
appreciate it
shorthand.
if you didn't write that down, or maybe,
I shall make this
Please.
a personal note then, for my diary, rather than something that would become, public knowledge.
Thank you.
You've lost your memories, you say. Would you say that this is an attack from one of the other factions? It doesn't seem to be something that would be the King's style, but maybe somebody from the university, or...
No, we don't think it's anything to do with the city's usual power struggles.
You can see that she's immediately locked on to the intrigues of the city and the potential for faction conflict. There's a look on her face that's calculating and, in a way, kind of thrilled to the possibility that foul play might be afoot. They're saying, "So how do you suspect you lost your memories?"
No clue.
I think
Fascinating.
Glory
Her hand is
might have a
writing the
theory.
entire time.
It is why we're trying to figure out what we have been doing for the past few weeks. Retrace our steps, so to say.
It seems that we spent a week doing personal errands and growth and jobs, and then we left the city for maybe up to 2 weeks.
Yes, I did notice that you had left.
Full of hours.
I assumed it was some sort of mission that Renata had sent you on.
Sorry.
She does have holdings outside the city.
Sorry, Simon. Has it been a day yet since we reappeared, or just like most of today?
This is
We've
the same
been
day.
running around the entire day.
Yep.
We have such busy days.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, you travelled across town, had a conversation, travelled across town again, had a conversation and a ritual. You are getting to the point now where it's around about 7 p.m. now, so you are getting a bit fatigued. But you've travelled a long way around the city. You're starting to get a little bit knackered, but you've got this at least in you.
Yes, and then we appeared this morning in the centre of town and have no idea how we got there, or what we've been doing, or why.
You
or where.
notice that she's writing in some form of shorthand as you're speaking, a natural dictator, and a dictationist rather than dictator.
I was going to say avoid dictator. That's got some real negative connotations.
And a bit of Wenglish coming out there. And she says, "So, well, how about we go back over the questions that you guys asked me, and I can look through my notes, give you the information. Maybe it will jog your memory."
Quick question: how many pages on Duratan do you have?
Yes.
It might be worth if you just give her the writing, because we could probably be here for some. Sorry, that was really cruel. I couldn't help myself.
Hobra gives you a smile and says, "I think this is a longer conversation." And at that point, I'm going to stop the session there. So we have a few minutes of chat to clarify anything that you've come across and any questions you want to ask out of character. But the scene with Hobra, as you start asking me the questions and I give you the replies, and I'm sure you make meticulous notes about them, I think it's something that we should do next session.
notes.
Yeah.
I totally do notes.
No.
I bet you any money what Corinne is sat there going, I don't make notes, I make flipping jokes about notes, and she's probably got like 6 books that she's filled out with meticulous transcripts where like every conversation is beautifully written into the book.
It's the thinking that, well, we're streaming it, I'll just watch it back.
Yeah.
and then realizing that trying to find 3 hours in your day to rewatch a stream is really hard.
That is the problem. That isn't the problem. I put it on while studying. The problem is listening to my own voice without like just wanting to throw the headset somewhere.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah,
I come across so nasal in my own when I listen back to my I'm there going, no, I've got this lovely, deep, manly voice, and then I listen to myself and I've got this nasal voice and I fucking hate it.
I'm so blokey and I'm proper masculine and everything, and I'm like, he's like, my God, I sound like I'm 12.
Also, there's certain voices that in my head the voice sounds perfect. I'm like, that's exactly how they sound like, and then I hear it said back to me. It's like, no, they don't sound like that at all. And if I start second guessing myself, I now know why Matt Mercer